My name is Armstrong Agoryeo. Basically, I'm an artist that deals with upcycling, conversion of waste to art. Currently residing in Derby, United Kingdom, and currently the founder of Think Artists, which is an organization that deals with the passing of knowledge regarding the conversion of waste to art to marginalized communities. And basically, any organization that has people who are depressed or who basically do not have what the resources in paying for art workshops. So that is basically what I do. I do that, travel to different parts of the UK to actually pass that message on recycling, about recycling, how to keep the environment neat, how to transform waste to art, basically.
How did you like was there a point when you realized that um that you obviously you are still an artist, but like now because you're giving back, you're focusing on marginalized communities.
Mm.
What At what point was what was the switch where you realized you could both do your like create your art and you can help other people even more?
Oh, well, the at what point I would say I realized compared to my own country, here gives you quite a lot of opportunities to, explore. I had to look at the environment which I was in, and I basically naturally when I get to any place, any new place, I try to understand the environment I'm in, try to look for current problems, and try to see how I can be the solution to that problem. So I realized we have quite a lot of marginalized communities in the UK, and we had quite a lot of people who couldn't afford to pay for art workshops and all that. And we also had quite a lot of people who are actually very depressed,
Mm.
because the UK is now as quite a lot of people are very reserved and they stay indoors. Not like my home country where everybody is a friend to the other person. Neighbors are friends to each other and other, but yeah, everybody is just lonely. It's a very lonely country, So I said, well, I think how can I be the solution to that problem as it should be? You should always learn to see yourself as a solution and try to see how you could solve a problem in your community. And when I saw the need for me to solve that problem, which is using art, I just had to take it. And that's how it's been able to bring me this far currently, you know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Your Think Artist brand, because obviously you've spoken to me before, and you said that it's a brand that actually started in Nigeria.
Hmm.
How did you how did you switch from obviously I'm guessing that Think Artist is still a thing in Nigeria, but my question would be how did you tweak your positioning? Like, did you have to change anything to also have this UK focus as well?
Yes, I did have to. First of all, the name had to, in Nigeria, I think Artist is a limited company. Yeah, we had to change it to a community interest company. Because in Nigeria, why we let it be limited because we had quite a lot of access to sponsorship from organizations. We could meet organizations and they could sponsor. But here, it was a bit difficult, because there are quite a lot of limitations to the name of your organization. If your organization is a charity or a community interest company, you have more advantage in getting funding, from diverse organizations as against Nigeria. So I had to change the name. And basically, like I said earlier, the cannibal of people I was dealing with compared to Nigeria are quite different. I had to change that because in Nigeria, we don't have quite a lot of strict rules when it comes to passing knowledge to kids. You could take pictures, you could do videos with children without not it's not that you don't need consent, but not as strict as the UK, but the UK needs quite a lot of you need to take certifications, courses, they need to check your DBS and all that, and that was quite a lot for me. So I thought, okay, I needed to deal with adults, and the refugees and all that, quite a lot of them are adults. It's quite easier for me because you don't necessarily need um not more. You don't necessarily need the DBS. It doesn't. It's not really a strict criteria. As against kids. So I had to switch from kids to adults in the UK, but in Nigeria I deal with kids. Because kids, a lot of them are with kids have kids in Nigeria are very open to learning arts. The kids in Nigeria, um, they are as against adults. Most adults are not really interested in wanting to pay for workshops and all that in Nigeria because of the economy. But in the UK, quite a lot of adults are open to learning, art. Even if they don't have the funds to pay. But if they see sponsored, they'll turn up. But Nigeria, even they see sponsor, nobody's really interested in that. Everybody's just after how to survive the next day. So that is just the differences between both, and how I was able to switch,
Mm.
basically.
It's amazing what you're doing to help a wide range of people who really do need help, especially in England now, because you know, like in my parents' era, it was kind of the thing of you get a job, you stay in that job for the entirety of your adulthood, and then you can, and then your personality is basically linked with the job you have. But
Mm.
also that was back in the days when you could raise an entire massive family off of one small salary. Like
Mhm.
that's impossible. Like I couldn't even imagine it. Like on my dad's side, my grandma, she had 13 children. That's
Oh, really?
insane. Yeah, 13 children. Like could you imagine that? Like that's out of this world. So like now it's more important than ever to make sure that people are doing something that they want to do, because life is too stressful to just be worrying all the time about. Well, to be fair, that is that. Or to be fair, that is a big part of life. Is just like worrying. But I love
Mhm.
that. That's why I love art, because art to me it's like an escape. It's kind of an like it's kind of a like
Creating your own reality.
yeah, like it, because whether you're designing art to be viewed or art to be listened to, like I I personally I lose myself in that because I love the creative side of things. And
Mhm.
I've also always said that everyone will have a creative flair within them
Mm.
somewhere else, like because obviously like for me it boils back down to like if you give like a load of 5-year olds a blank piece of paper and tell them to draw a car, they
Mhm.
might draw a car, but they might also draw a whole new world, a whole like or a whole new narrative, what have you. That
Mhm.
that level of creativity, it's still within you when you're an adult. I just feel like that side of you just gets beaten down and down and down. So yeah, I really do respect what you're doing. Um, so when did you start up in England then?
That was in 2024.
Okay.
No, 2020. No, I started, I think, around January 2025. I think January last year because I came in September 2023. I studied till September 2024, and I opened it about January 2025. Yeah, because as a student, you're not allowed to open a company. So I opened it when I finished my program, you know.
Wait, you just said wait you're not allowed to open a business in this country until you've done a course. What's that?
You're not allowed to open it as an international student. Once you come in,
Right.
it's the rule. You can't open a company. When you are done with your program, then you can now open a company. But as a student, you are not allowed to open a company. It's against your visa. It's part of
Right.
immigration.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. I actually I never knew that, but to be fair, like that does make some sense. Yeah, but do you know like how would you like how has your background played a factor into the fact that you're running Think Artist and all of these things now?
When you say background, in what angle, basically?
Obviously, because like you haven't been doing the think artist like forever, but you've been creating art for years and years and years. So my question would be like, how do you go from creating art to then being like, I'm going to give back to everyone essentially? How do you go from A to B?
Because my dad used to tell me as a child, the only constant thing in life is change.
Yeah.
But point in time in your life, you have to always learn to adapt with time and change because change is constant, And I held on to those words. You can't keep being an artist forever. You have to always find a way to. I started as a child who was never given the opportunity to explore art the way I wanted to. My dad
Mm.
didn't give me that freedom the way I wanted to. But at every point in time, because of the challenges I faced as a child, I always learned to always change with time, adapt. And um part of what helped me was because I wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to change his mindset. So in the process of wanting to change his perception about art as the a artist, he believes art is for the poor. Is poor people that actually explore art. I wanted to change that perception. So I was always, you know, thinking of something that will actually project me to the world or put me out there and, put me on the news, put me on TV, just to prove to him that art is not for the poor. I see what I'm doing
Mm.
with art. But in the process of doing that, it was actually changing certain things about me. The process of wanting to prove something to my dad was actually giving me a different perception, giving me different opportunities I could actually explore in the art. What if you do things this way? What if you do things this way? You know. So what if with the same word he keeps telling me, the only constant thing in life is change, and with the fact that I want to prove him wrong and I want to show him that artists can actually be better than what he claims we are, that was what has led me here. I've never for once in my life, growing up as a child, I never thought I'll be here or I'll be in the UK or I'll have a company. I never thought of that. In fact, as at 7 years ago, in fact, as at I think it was 2021, everything all changed, I think after COVID, that was when everything changed. I looked at, okay, how can I solve a problem? How can I solve this current problem, challenges I'm facing in the classroom with the kids? And that is what, gave birth to Think Artist. So like I always said, the only constant thing in life is change. Challenges has actually contributed to what I am today. Problems, but my mindset change. You have to have a certain kind of mindset to grow. How can you grow? Because you realize, like water, if you don't grow, you'll be like a water that is just in a stagnant position. Yes, at first, when the rain falls and the water is on the floor, it looks clear and clean. Yes, it looks quite healthy, but at some point in time, if the water doesn't find its way to any passage,
Mm.
it starts thinking, it starts bringing fungi and all that, and it starts attracting mosquitoes, and all that. But as unlike the stream, that has a clear flow of water, the water will always be clear and all that. So I see it as a stream. I see myself as a stream that needs to always keep moving for my water to be clear. Else, I'll just be an artist that everybody is, but I won't be known. I won't be having any impact. I didn't want that kind of life. So I've always had that mindset. Just to summarize everything, I have the mindset of growth. You know,
Mm.
the way
I
you
th-
see me this year can never be the way you see me next year. Next year, you might just call me and I might not be available. Upper year, I might just be the governor of my state or the president of my country, or I might be,
yeah.
so that is how I think. I don't stay in one position. I keep growing, That's how life should be.
That's very healthy, man. That's honestly that's an amazing mindset that you've got, and obviously it definitely shows in the fact that you like to give, you literally like to give back to anyone who ultimately needs help, really. So
Mhm.
it definitely all falls in line, but also you touched on it very briefly. You were saying that COVID was a turning point for you and Think Artist. How did that happen?
Basically, COVID kept the kids at home, right? Proud to COVID, kids were actually giving me quite a lot of attention when it comes to art. Because art is a certain one of the subjects kids are always very interested in wanting to put their minds in. But after COVID, probably because the kids stayed at home for almost a year, their interests in art just, dropped drastically. So in the process of wanting to solve that problem, how can I get their attention, how can I make it as interesting as it used to be prior to COVID, That's better the first art inter-school art contest which I organized alongside one of my colleagues then. And when we organized it, it was very successful. I looked at it and I looked for what went well, what didn't go well. I did the second one in 2022 and it came out quite well. The second was an inter-school art contest where I invited different schools from in Abuja. And the schools turned up. Everybody was happy. And the idea basically was to, make, you know, bring out the very strong interest I need in art. I want kids to be very interested in art. And when I saw how the thing was going, it was looking very interesting. The second edition came out quite well. That was in 2023. I thought I should just take it more seriously and open my art company, Think Artist. Initially, it was called Art Explosion. I was just organizing it. That was the name of the program I was organizing in 2021, 2022, Art Explosion. But I thought I should change it to Think Artist, So it was Think Artist. And the idea behind Think Artist was I wanted to use a name um, that that passes a certain message to artists. When you hear Think Artist, I want artists to think outside the box. You don't have to be just a regular artist. You need to be a critical thinker. I want artists that can critically think. Don't just stay in a certain level. Always be a critical thinker to evolve. That's why I put it as think artists. It's more or less like passing a message to you. Think, artists think, and at the same time, so that's why I use that name.
It definitely, yeah, like yeah, having your brand name as Think Artist is definitely a very appropriate name. But also, because considering that you were saying and or just then that when you were in Nigeria, you were doing these workshops, these competitions. They were in person.
Mm.
Now, are they still in person or are they virtual? How does it work now?
So now they are virtual. We did in person in 2021, 2022. Then 2023, we made it virtual. The idea was the reason why we made it virtual was because of the proximity, the distance. I wasn't in Nigeria anymore, so I needed to still connect to the program. I didn't want the program to just die because of my presence. So I thought, okay, let's see how I could have it virtually. And besides, it makes me connect to more kids,
Mm.
because currently we have quite a very large number of insecurity in Nigeria. So quite a lot of people might not want to come physically, but it's easier virtually,
Mm.
Instagram and that people can connect from all parts of the world. So that is why we decided to switch. Yes, it has its own ups and downs. It has its own disadvantage in the sense that you cannot see the work one on one. The artworks the kids
Mm.
make, you can't feel it with your eye. You can't see if it's a very quality work and all that.
You can't see the texture
You
of
can't see
these things.
all
Yeah.
that. You can't feel everything. But like everything has its own advantage and disadvantage. Just look for what works for you best. And so far, so good. You having these programs virtually has made me connect to more kids,
Mm.
as against physically one on one. So virtually has given me last year I think we had about 80 kids last year. That is after we even rejected some entries, 80. But if we looked at all the entries, we had about 100 there about, and we'll most likely have more this year. So I think that's
Yeah.
just it.
Do you know? I think obviously like art is a very important very important factor of life, but also like I also think like communication is. So obviously I don't know if you're doing this, but I'm guessing you are. Have you got like some form of like group chat or communication channel to speak with all these people who've been to your events?
Yes, for the one in Nigeria, we have their email, so we do send mails with various informations. Although because they are kids, you can't really have certain, workshops and all that with them. But here in the UK, yes, we do communicate by email. You understand? We communicate by email. Since we just started last year in the UK. So it's a gradual process. Over time, we hope to build a community of both artists and art lovers where we could all meet, talk about art, connect with art, have programs and all that. That's the idea. It's a dream or a seed that is still, is still that is what sprouting, or in the process of sprouting or what have you. So it's a gradual process, but so far so good. We are trying our best to see how we communicate,
That's
you know.
wonderful. And obviously, like you've got a very active mindset, which is very very important. Um, but my next question is, have you ever thought of giving up?
Uh, yes, I've thought of giving up at a time. It's every successful entrepreneur has always at any point in time thought of giving up.
Yeah.
But when I look back and I see people will be very happy if you fail. Naturally, humans, quite a lot of people don't
Mm,
have the drive like you. So once you fail, they're all happy and laughing and say, I said it. So the thought of people even happy or being happy that I failed is the reason why I don't stop. I have to keep going. At a point in time, my initial challenge was funds. There was a time I had issues with funds. I think there was a particular year we didn't really have any sponsor. I had to borrow money from my bank to pay kids for the cash price. That was how dedicated I was to this. I didn't want it to die. I
mm,
didn't have any funds, my personal funds to put in. So I had to borrow. It's like taking a loan from the bank to give the kids as cash prizes just to encourage them.
yeah.
I think then it was about £100 or so. £100 was quite a lot of money then.
It is
So
now.
uh, £100, But now I think I give almost £500 annually for this. I just changed the money in there and I from my pocket, because I could afford it. It's not a big deal for me now.
Mm,
But when I had to borrow money to pay, and nobody knew, I'm sure if I tell my wife will not believe. I've not even told my wife I borrowed money to put in for that. But it's my dream. When you
mm.
have a dream, you have to fight for it. You have to keep it alive, and it's not something I was going to let go of. If I let that dream die, I will never forgive myself. So that's it, and it's keep growing. It's still growing. It's growing.
That's amazing. Honestly, like it's very interesting because obviously as I've told you before, my real passion lies in sound. Um, so like I I will like thing is I've never thought of like giving up on sound or music or literally anything of that. Like the day that I give up will be the day that I die. It's just very very simple. I'm not
Not
like
an option.
yeah, because the thing is that like this is why I really really love art, right? Unlike football or sports, you don't have like a 10-year career. Like
Mm-mm.
that's not what happens. The more and more the more and more experiences you have and what have you, the better and better and better you become. Whereas
Mhm.
in sport, you'll have like a peak, and then you'll then feel the drop off. But
Mhm.
with art, it's very very different. That's why I think it's so freeing,
Mm.
and it's so important. But my next question would be like, considering like the in Nigeria you're focusing on children, in the UK you're focusing on adults. Where do you where can you see think artist like being in the next 5 years? I know obviously you're saying earlier in the call that in the next couple of years you could be the president of your country, man. And big up. I believe that. But so where could you see think artist in the future?
I see Think Artists being a very big organization with different branches in different parts of the world. Most likely, we're going to be connecting with different parts of the world virtually. We can't be competing with Tate and big museums. So our strength basically will be exploring having virtual meetings and interaction in different parts of the world. We are going to be very big. And I see Think Artists being an organization every artist will want to belong to because it's going to be an organization that gives artists almost, if not direct links with art lovers or people that buy artworks. So that's why we thought it wise to create not just a community of art lovers, but a community of artists where artists can have almost direct links with art collectors, because we realize that gallery owners tend to be the middleman in today's world and they take quite a chunk of money, a percentage from artists' works, But we're looking at ways to link artists directly with art lovers or people, art collectors, and at the same time seeing how we could actually organize workshops as well to encourage people to delve into the world of art. So we see ourselves as a very big organization in the time to come. We're working towards it. I was telling my wife of, I think some days ago, we're gonna buy a property and a property and oh no, before the end of next year. I told her I'm gonna buy it and we're gonna start our art gallery.
That's
Art
amazing.
because if you have the perception or the perspective of people that bodybuild, when you get tired is when you keep pushing. That is when you keep lifting weights. When you are tired is when you need to keep lifting the weight.
Mm.
Uh, Like I met someone last year, um, who I met him in a carnival, and he gave me an advice. He said, always 10 times any dream you have and work towards it. 10 times it. So if you do something this year, 10 times it, tell yourself by next year, I need to do times 10 by next year. Yes, and it's something I've held on to myself because when you times it by 10, you tell yourself, I'm going to do this 10 times. I'm going to have 10 times of this by next year. Give or take, you might not get the 10, but you are not going to get 5. You get maybe
Yeah,
7, which is very good.
yeah, yeah.
So that's it.
I think that's amazing that you're having like these philosophical conversations in carnival. Like who'd have known?
I had a video. In fact, I even videoed it. I told him to say it in video, and he said it. And I think he happened to be the owner of a film. I think a film. I think they produce films in the UK or in a different party. I think they produce. I checked him out. He's a very big shot. He has a film. Is it a film academy or something? Also, they make movies. There's quite a lot of good movies. And they say he's been running for almost 20 years right now. So I have him on video when he said it on video. I saw him on LinkedIn and I was like, wow, I didn't know this guy's a big shot. He gave me his name and all that, and I checked him out some days ago. So I held on to those words and I promised him that I was going um to do times 10 and I'm going to tag him once I'm done. And he's going to be very proud. He said he'll be expecting the results in some years to come.
Mm.
So
I think obviously as you know I'm massively supportive of what you're doing. Partly because obviously you're helping people, but also online, especially like on the internet, on social media especially. Generally speaking, it's so difficult to gain a following by doing the good by doing good. Like, because generally speaking, no one wants to watch a video where there's no jeopardy, there's nothing wrong, or what have you. Which is why we get pushed into this way of having loads of influencers with these opinions that they don't really have, but they've got to pretend like they have it because that's how they've gotten up there. And obviously, your business is growing, and your business is growing off of goodness and goodness only. So like I think it's really, really powerful, especially considering like most of the people my age, they may have a similar dream to you, but they might not just have a clue where to start because obviously, you know, on one side, it's difficult working for yourself, like on just doing that on its own, but trying to think about how you're going to be able to help people and do all of these things while you're working 8 till 6, like it's really tough. But so I would, I would. What would you say? What advice would you give someone who wants to do similarly to you? They want to help. They want to help the youth.
Simple. Have a change of mindset. It all boils down to your mindset. I tell everybody, when you have a mindset, a positive, you have a mind. If you change how you see life, your mind, the way you think, actually determines how the universe responds to you. I'm just barely two. I'm not even up to 3 years in this country, but I've achieved quite a lot.
Mm.
You know, it does. I, in fact, if you say I think artist is just about a year and some months in this country, but I know the speed at which I'm moving. It's all about mindset. When you have a mindset and you use positive words. There are certain words I don't use in my vocabulary. I use positive words. I don't use I can't. I'm broke. I can't do this. I say what I want. I speak to the universe and the universe listens. That is how I talk. I talk with authority. I don't say because I don't have it. I can't say it. I'm scared of saying it. No. I say what I want. I told you I'm going to buy a building next year and I'll buy it. That is it. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. I'll buy it and I'll have my a property, to start with. That is it. You know, I and it's always worked for me. Anytime I say something, the universe aligns or listens to me and brings the right people in my way, the opportunities my way, and that's why it looks as though things are working out very fine. But I tell people, when you have a mindset, if you say you are broke, you are broke. Oh, I can't afford. I know of someone that keeps telling me, she's my studio mate, and she tells me, "Oh, I can't afford to pay £40 per month, for my studio space." And I laugh because what is £40, And the funniest part is at the studio, I don't stay in the studio. I'm actually in the studio because of I've not been in the studio for almost a year, but I'm paying rent every year, almost £100 every month. But I don't stay in the studio. I don't have time, you know. But she looks at me and says, "Oh, you have money." And I said, "No, I work hard. I have a positive mindset, and I speak to the universe. So I don't need to be in the studio. I'm only paying for it because you are there. Because the moment I leave the studio, she's saying she's not gonna have a studio. She's gonna leave because she doesn't know where to stay. So I believe in positive mindset. Have
Mm.
a positive mindset towards life. The moment you've changed your mindset, every other thing aligns. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I definitely agree because obviously for most people, myself included, like I'm my own biggest critic, of course. But like you definitely are right in the sense that like positive reinforcement is very very important, and it's also
Mm,
it's interesting you say that because obviously earlier in the call you were saying that one of the big things that shaped your decision was the negative reinforcement received from your dad, and
mm,
it's very interesting to see how someone who'd heard the word no a lot as a kid can turn that to something to so positive. And you're saying that this is all from the mindset.
yeah, it is because I tell you, it's same thing I still tell. I even told my wife today. I said, "See, have a. There's nothing you throw at me that will affect me now. Any particular challenge I face, I ask myself, how can I conquer this challenge? How can I conquer it? I'm not after, oh, the thing did not. I'm like, okay, how can I, how can I use it as a stepping stone to where I'm going to? You know,
Mm.
that is how I see life. If the rain falls and I cannot go out, I try to say, okay, what can I make out of this rain that is falling? How can I use what problem can I solve with this rain? How can I make money from this rain? Okay, I didn't go out to work. Okay, what this rain is falling? What can I do with the rain? What can I do? It's just an example itself.
Mm.
So anything you throw at me, I look for a way to turn it to my stepping stone to the next level. And it works for me because you have to know what works for you. But one thing I know is that when you have a certain mindset about life, things work for you. I don't use I can't. If I ask myself if I want to do something, I don't say, oh, this thing is difficult. Wow, what do I do about it? I don't tell myself that. Once I see a challenge or if I see a property I like, I ask myself, how can I buy this property next year? The moment I say that, my brain automatically starts thinking of solutions to that problem. As
Mm,
against when I see a property and I can't afford it, I say, oh, I can't afford this property, it's too much. My brain automatically shuts down because
mm.
I've entered the mind. I say it's not possible. But when I say, how can I, you know, anytime I sleep, wake up, the moment I make that statement, once I sleep, wake up, if I'm walking around or I'm driving, solutions keep popping in. Naturally, at the background, my brain is thinking about, solutions to that problem. So that is how life is. The moment you master that particular art itself, nothing stops you. You keep moving.
I do definitely agree. Like the only thing is that because in school in England, for example, no one ever tells you that. No one ever tells you that. They'll give you loads of unnecessary information about these like the Tudors from like 500 years ago. No one cares about these people. They're not alive now, but like there's no class about like positive reinforcement, positive mindset. Like it's 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 kind of something that most people have got to find out on their own. But like for most people involved, obviously, like just the same way how everything that happens to you when you're a child feels normal. If you've been telling yourself, oh, I can't do this for years as a child, but the second you're an adult, you're not even thinking that you're giving yourself negative reinforcement. You're thinking, no, I'm thinking like with a realistic mindset or what have you. But unfortunately, because this is this that's 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 why it falls back to why I really do like what you're doing, because like I find that art is one of those things that can really give people that mindset, without being too much. Because obviously sometimes if someone's been taught something which is completely on this side, and then you're like, hey, that's completely wrong, it's supposed to be over there, you're more likely to deal with some resistance. Whereas if it comes from your own mind, because you're creating art, I find that it sticks a lot better.
And another thing too that also worked for me is where I'm coming from. I come from a country where the opportunities are very limited. You have the dream, but the tools to grow that dream are almost not there. So it's like maybe you are being brought from a place from a desert to a Greenland. You understand? When I came to the UK, in fact, if I was born in this country, I know where I would have been. The opportunities are too many, but I'm telling you,
Too many opportunities in England.
opportunities are too many. You need to, when you are coming from a place of want to a place of abundance, you will value abundance.
Yeah,
The reason why you might see things from that angle is because you are most likely born here, right? You grew up here.
yeah,
Yes, the UK makes you relax because there's always a solution to all the problems you need. Good healthcare, police are there. But I come from a country where there are challenges.
yeah,
You have to be tough. So when you come from a place where you have to be tough, you can now come to a place that has all the opportunities given to you. It's there in front of you. It's just, are you ready to work? And I come from a country where to work is not a problem. I work. Work is not my. We are not lazy in where I come from. That doesn't mean people here are lazy. Everybody's hardworking, but the system here has pampered citizens. So you don't need to stress your mental. You don't need to stress yourself. Where I come from, you dream big. we like dreaming big. I don't dream small. How can I make 20,000 a month?
Mm.
How can I make 100,000 a year or 1 million pounds a year? When I
Mm.
see that wife, I ask her, how can we make 1 million pounds next year? That is the assignment for that month. That is our team for the year. How can we make? So we have to sit down and think, what can we do to make money and add value to the society at the same time? You understand? So the country we come from has already trained us. Nobody's telling you, oh, it's gonna be fine. No, 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 no. They don't tell you that there. They tell you go out there, go and suffer, go and hustle.
Mm.
So now come to a place where what you are struggling to achieve over there, it's here. Once you work a bit, you do a little work. The system is there to support you. So the grants are there. They are after people who can actually work. Are you ready to do what it takes to get the grants? And to do what it takes is very easy for me. In fact, that's my specialty. I can do what it takes. I have the knowledge. You know, and I told her, I said, the 20,000 pounds is the smallest grant I'll ever get in this country. I'm aiming for bigger grants that will
Wait,
make
did you say
me
twenty?
did
Did you just say £20,000 is the smallest grant that you're going to apply for?
Yes, it's true. 20,000 is small. Is 20,000 a big money?
Big bread.
No, 20,000 is not money. 20,000. I need to add value to the society, to the community. What can I do? I need to do a lot.
Mm.
20,000 is so. Let me tell you, 20,000, like I said, it's mindset. You are sitting down, you feel 20,000 is big. Do you know there's someone that is exactly of the same age with you that is making 20 million pounds and is telling you that 20 million pounds is small? So it's your mindset.
Yeah.
If 20,000 is big, it will be big to you. 20,000 is small money. Really, 20,000 is small.
It's very interesting because like obviously I'm learning more things about my mindset because obviously when you were speaking about that like the 20 grand for example, I would say that's a lot of money because then you can turn that into way more money. That like my mindset immediately was like if I was given £20,000, I know exactly how I would flip that into £100,000, and I'd be able
Mm.
to flip that and then flip that and flip that. I basically just do that over and over and over again. But because I'm a Westerner by default, like I was born here, I definitely have got like that negative reinforcement. Like it's still within me somewhere. I don't know why, but it is still there. And like it's very interesting because I was like yeah like I was given a grant of about £4,000 in the beginning
Mm.
of this year, and that grant actually allowed me to well firstly spend time interviewing founders and stuff and what have you, but it's helped me to help other people as well, but these are other people around the world, because like now I've got an Indonesia from I've got a developer from Indonesia, and I've got another developer from India, and like I I'm really really enjoying it, and like obviously so I'm looking back and I'm like literally I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing now had it not been for that £4,000 grant. So like I feel like maybe I do have the wrong mindset. Maybe I don't know.
You need to put your mindset because um, what you call big is someone's small. What you think is a big thing is someone's peanuts.
Mm,
Yes, I'm appreciative of the 20,000 pounds. It's helping me in adding value to the community, which is a very good one. I'm very happy, but I'm dreaming way bigger than 20,000.
mm, yeah.
There's someone that got, is it about 500,000 pounds grant? I think I saw it on Instagram. Yeah, where it was a committee, a very big committee. You need, it's like, don't move with people below you. When you're having conversations, Have conversations with people either your level or way ahead of you. That is the only way you can grow.
Mm.
Never take advice from people who you are doing better than. They don't have anything to give you. It's like saying never build a house or never stay in a community where you are the richest. Stay in a community where you are the poorest and you have more billionaires. You will grow fast. Your brain moves fast. So I read a lot. I try to see how to add value to the community. And I tell myself, okay, yes, this money is going to add value to this community at this stage. What can I do to access a bigger community? It will need more money.
Mm. Yeah.
You understand? I saw grants. I've seen grant of one. I don't do grant of 1,000. If I remember, someone sent me a link. Please apply for this grant of 1,000. I didn't even know. I just checked it. I saw 1,000. I said I'm not doing. It. I don't do any grant less than 20,000. That's just the truth. I don't do grants less than 20,000. If it is not 20,000, and it can change because if I can get or once I can get, that is the change of mindset. What once I get a grant of 100,000, the least I'll be doing is 100,000. So
Mm.
I'll not be doing any grants of 20,000. So it's like a step. Once you climb a step up, you don't pray to go down.
Yeah.
You keep moving. So always change your change your policies, your terms and conditions. It changes.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I can definitely understand. Obviously, because especially when you're when you're trying to when you're trying to help an entire community. Of course, it's gonna take even more money.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, like it's obviously you're literally an inspiration, man. But like also considering that you're an artist and you've published work, um, are you at all concerned with the rise of AI?
I'm not. AI cannot do everything, can it? See, you work with time. You change. They say the only constant in your life is change. AI is not there to take from you. AI is just there to help you achieve more. It depends on how you look at it.
Mm.
If you feel it's going to take from you, it's going to take from you. The internet at some point in time, people saw the internet, they say, oh, it's gonna take jobs, it's gonna but I'm using it to connect to more people. So there are two sides to a coin. Look for what works for you. How can it work to your advantage? That is how I see it. Even with AI, I look for how can it work to my advantage? What can I do to make it work to my advantage? So I don't fear, I'm not scared of the what it's gonna do. What I'm more concerned about is how can it be beneficial to my growth as an artist? Forget what's the disadvantage. Look at the advantage
Mm.
and how it work for you. How can AI work for you? How can it enhance your program? What you are doing right now, how can AI help in enhancing it? So think.
I definitely agree. 100%. Because obviously, like I've been saying for months, if not years, that like yeah, like AI AI is used very regularly because it's convenient. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, that's the main reason why people use AI. And although yeah, you're right, AI can't do everything. Obviously, I've spoken to some other designers and some other artists, and they are really scared that their art will be stolen and be and open AI they open AI they might even create a whole new model
Mm-hmm.
surrounding off of their stolen and fenced goods. And obviously you've got the mindset like if that happens, that happens, that won't stop you. Which is obviously that's once again that's a healthy way of dealing with things, man. But like how obviously I guess it's, this whole thing comes back down to the mindset thing of I will use whatever I can to help me. If they try to take it away from me, they can try it. It won't really work. Like it's amazing.
Just change your mind. Have the mindset. It's as I say, everything is boils down to the mindset. The
Mm.
mindset is the foundation, but a lot of people don't know. Once you've been able to hack how things work and know once you've been able to understand how the mindset works, you've solved at least 50% of your problem in today's world. Then once you've been able to identify your path, your career path, what works for you, you've solved 70% of your problem because many a times most people are struggling to even identify what works for them.
Mm.
Most people spend their life looking for what works for them, and that is just the problem. Everything you see around you, people are trying to look for what can I do to make me successful in my career path? What can I do that will make the world know me? What can I do that will make me add value to the community? That is what most people are struggling understanding. That is why when they see you draw, they'll say, how did you know you can draw? When they see you paint, they say, how do you know? How did you know the talent? That is a problem. So once you've been able to change your mindset, your mind becomes like cleaning the house. Once you know to clean the house, and the house is very clean, it's not messed up. That is the mindset. You've cleaned the house. Once the house is clean, you sit down on a chair, look at the house. At that point in time, you start asking yourself, hmm, I think something this can fit into this wall. I think this can fit into this wall. Oh, I think this will fit the floor. But when the house is rowdy, every day you come, you look at it rowdy, you will not feel the need to put anything in the house because everywhere is just messed up. So a mindset, a good mindset, it's like a clean environment. It
Mm.
gives you a perspective or a perception of what you need to add or subtract. It tells you, it gives you a clear view of what you need to do next. That is the best example I could give. So, and you can't explain it to everybody. No matter how you try to explain to people, if one doesn't have that mindset or one doesn't see life from your angle, no matter how you try to tell them, oh, you need a good mindset, people don't understand. So I've always learned to just within my thing. When I'm doing it, maybe my results will inspire you or change your mindset. But I've gotten to a stage in my life where I'm always tired of explaining to people. I'll just do my thing, do what makes me happy, you
Mm.
know.
I definitely agree. It like for me that line that actually falls into something I was told when I was 16 because when I was about 15 or 16 I was in a studio with a professional music engineer. He was literally at the top of his game, and he would give me wonderful advice, but it didn't lock it. Like it was one of those ones where like I heard the words he said, but I didn't really understand them until it came to, maybe like 3 or 4 years afterwards when I was in the same situation, and I had the same realization. I was like, oh, that's why Josh told me to do this 4 or 5 years ago. That's why this happened. Like it's so. The thing is, this that's like it's kind of tied up with the whole mindset thing, like because no one's ever taught that. So like I do think that people do have to like experience real life to get to that level. But honestly, like yeah, just listening to your outlook on life, and it's so positive. Like it's amazing in 2026. Like I'm very very surprised. But yeah, have you got any Think Artist events happening soon that you want anyone to know about?
Well, for now, we're planning or we're working on a group exhibition, but for now we've postponed it because of my solo exhibition coming up. The only program we're gonna be having is the Think Art Festival, which is for those in Nigeria, kids in Nigeria. It's gonna be December. I think we're gonna be putting the theme for the year this October. Then by December we'll be announcing the winner. So we're gonna be having like 3 to 4 months of kids making works based on the theme we give. Then by December 25th we'll announce the winners and all that. It's going to be on our Instagram page too. That is the Think Artist. That is the name of the page there. So we're definitely having the Think Art Festival, which is for this December. That's it for now. But from next year, probably we'll be having a group exhibition. That being said, before then, we'll put that on our page if it be.
Wonderful. And also, just before I ask my final question, obviously, I know that you're working on a Guinness record.
Yeah. I'm working on that. I'm working on that for making the smallest piece of paper collage in the world. I'm working on that currently. Once I scale this year, from next year, I'll put the information on the record. Most likely, I'm looking at 2028 for the Guinness World Record because 2027 next year, I need to travel down to Nigeria to sort the logistics and all that, you know. So it's, give or take from next year, more information about that will be put online there.
Wonderful. I've got another question. Obviously, because a collage that's like what, a collection of paintings or pictures that.
Collage is the smallest. Collage is paper collage, which is my line, is the conversion of waste to art. Papers, collage is like the use of papers, plastic bags, to make artworks, paintings, you know, maybe two-dimensional or three-dimensional works, but mostly two-dimensional works itself. So paper collage painting. So using papers or plastics to make artworks, paintings, you know. So that's what I. So mine is I'm going to be using papers, tiny paper cuts to make a painting. I've not really determined what I'll be making, but I'm going to be using papers to make it. It's going to be probably maybe less than a centimeter by a centimeter. Nice.
Less than that by that. That is amazing. And obviously, like, well, I'm guessing you're. Well, are you gonna be like designing this with a microscope on one eye and like how are you gonna be able to see these things? Like it's so small.
That's why in Nigeria, I'm the only artist in my country that makes the collage I make, which is the smallest. I make collage using the tiniest paper cut in Nigeria. I'm the only artist that does that.
Right. So it's your thing.
It's my thing. So my eye is, I was created for that. I was destined for that. So that's why I want to break the world record with my eye. So I'll make it work.
That's
Mm.
amazing.
Maybe I'll be giving my accolades with the artist with the eye of a microscope.
Mate, honestly, like, yeah, this is like it. Obviously, I'm always I'm having an amazing time speaking to you. Obviously, just hearing more about your mindset, about your art, and all of these things. This has been a blast. But I've got one more question, and it's a question I ask everyone.
You ask me one more question, one more question. I have one more question, and the
this
question
is
doesn't
this
finish.
is. I promise. This is the last question. I promise. I promise.
All right.
It's a little bit philosophical. What is more dangerous, being certain or being wrong?
What is more dangerous, being certain or
Or
being
being
wrong?
wrong? Yeah.
Hmm. That's a very dicey question.
There we go.
That's a very dicey question. What is more dangerous in being certain
Mm-hmm.
or being wrong?
Yep.
Hmm.
I've stumped him, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh, because uh, being wrong is not bad. Being certain is a necessity. In fact, both of them are necessities, and they're not. There's nothing more for me. You need the both of them. It's like you need to be very certain in life. You need to be very certain of what you do, even though it doesn't work out fine. But have a very certain mindset. You know. So I don't see it as dangerous. I see it as a necessity. I think it's one of my very good. I love being very certain. It's, you know, and being wrong. It's not dangerous too, because my father would say the only way to heaven is through hell. For you to fail, you need to have, for you to pass, you need to have failed at some point in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Failure actually gives you, or being wrong actually tells you what you need to work on to be right, you know. Or like another person has told me, said, when you fail, you didn't, when something did not work out well or something went wrong, it's not a failure. You only bought experience. You understand? Because when you do it again, it's going to work out right. So for me, I don't see any of them as more dangerous, you know, because I need both of them. Both of them are very necessary. So, except if you are insisting on me picking one.
No, no.
Okay.
Honestly, you don't have to pick one. Like it's a philosophical question. Like there is no one right
No,
answer.
no, no,
That's
no,
why I
no,
ask
no.
it.
Yeah, there's none. I don't. The two of them are very. They are two sides of a coin, you know, that are very necessary
Mm.
pain, or there are two sides of a coin that are very necessary on your path in life. You need both. Things cannot just be working for you all the time. You need some level of certainty. You need to be very certain about things. And when you say certain, it's like saying, I can do this. I can jump over that fence. I can pass through that fence. I'm invisible. I can pass through that fence. That is certainty. It's very
Mm.
necessary.
Mm.
And you run and you hit the fence and you couldn't pass through it. You're wrong. You failed. Then at that point in time, you're like, okay, maybe I can't pass through it. Maybe I need to jump over it. So being wrong actually gave you an answer to why you failed or why you thought you were certain and you're uncertain. So being wrong, that tells you, okay, I think you need to jump over it. Though you are certain you can pass through that fence, but you are not invisible. That is what being wrong has told you. Being wrong just told you are not invisible. So you cannot pass through that fence by running this way. But you can pass through the fence. Your certainty is telling you that you can pass through the fence by jumping over the fence and getting to the other place.